Aren't all founders a little arrogant? I mean, they
You
need to
have
be,
to
right?
be. You have to be.
Yeah, they have
Yeah,
to have that overconfidence in the product because if they don't, who will?
exactly.
And that's number one. And number two, it's not just about the founder or product fit, right? I mean, that's one factor, but there's so many other things that need to fall in place. See, like you mentioned, the Kandu venture, you were able to start executing on your vision. You had meetings with people, you had some blueprints for the product itself, but it didn't fall into place because of certain other reasons. So it goes back to what I was saying. You need all the things to fall in place at the same time and at the right place. You need to have the right people with you. You need to have the right resources with you, the right vision, and the right idea to be able to execute it.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Unfinished Business. Today I'm here with my dear friend Shaurya Singhal. Is that a correct
Yeah,
pronouncement? I
that's
sound like
that's
a
it. Yes.
fucking European, even though I'm not one. All right.
But you
Yeah.
are one though, aren't you?
No, not yet. In a few years. Um, right now in India. I met him in Barcelona in my uni, and now he's back in India. So, what's up? Who are you? Why should people listen to you?
Oh, I mean, I can tell you who I am. I'm Shaurya Singhal, the proper pronunciation of the name. Yeah, I met Rohan in Barcelona, and I was doing my MBA in fintech, and Roham was just messing around doing random shit. No, that's not true. That's not true. No, my
The
first
man was
interaction with
starting a
you.
startup, okay, a respectable startup in agriculture. That now looking back is a
Um,
miserable
if
failure,
you
but yeah.
if he had started that startup in India, the name would alone would have been a
Oh my
comical.
god, yeah,
Yeah, it
Jesus
would have been
Christ.
so much. I mean,
Let's not even
y-
mention the name here.
yeah, no,
It's on
let's
my
let's
LinkedIn
let's.
so people can see it, but
Yeah, it's on my LinkedIn too, by the way. Uh, no, yeah,
fucking hell.
its name was Kandu,
I love how we
and
never even launched like a single landing page or anything properly, and we had like one day of ad campaigns, and it's all on all of our LinkedIn pages.
I mean,
Yeah,
we worked on it for a while though. I mean, we had that quote unquote official lunch. Remember you, me, and Vladimir? Which
yeah,
is like two
yeah.
hours. We just went to have lunch and discuss random stuff.
No, but
It
I
wasn't
worked on
random.
it. I worked on it all the way till the end of November, right? So almost a year,
Mhm.
basically. So January till November, 2020.
Yeah, I still genuinely have no idea at what point and why you dropped off because the idea seemed quite novel to me. So I just don't know why it kind of faltered.
You know, I couldn't find anyone to help me make it. And at the
Make
time, I couldn't make it myself. Now, I
there
would
was
be able
someone
to.
right. There was someone right from Oman.
Yeah, Ahmed started his own startup. So now he's got funding. He's got a funded startup. Like he's doing great.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
He's
yeah.
got a funded startup. Oh, damn.
Yeah, so he got a basically a startup was born. I mean, I don't want to give too much detail. It's not my place to do, but
Of
basically a
course.
startup was born out of his company, and he manages
Mhm.
it right now. Um, but with Kandu, like I tried Ahmed, I tried different people. Like I talked to different people. We had some calls. We actually had some sessions, and we worked on some stuff. But it never really got to a point where I was like, okay, we're actually making something. We were never actually making something actually. Um, so then I was like, okay, this is not going anywhere. I'm gonna scope down, just focus on YouTube. Now
Mhm.
seems like I'm gonna be starting another startup, but more news on that later.
But it's been quite a journey, right? At least for you. Not talking about the current startup you're in, but in terms of where you were from Kandu, then to Destination 2100, where I edited and proofread some of your articles,
Oh yeah.
use some of your scripts for 2100, the videos, and I know it's been quite interesting that leap from an agricultural based technologically startup to a YouTube channel about such topics. And I think a part of it was I'm not sure if you were in that class, the public speaking class, when we had to all give
Yeah.
a speech about a topic we were really passionate about.
Yeah. She gave me 100. I got 100 from
Same.
that class. Yeah. Because
And
yeah,
that one, I
apparently.
think, at least from what I remember, that really inspired you to keep pushing more towards such a format, maybe, if I'm
I
not wrong.
mean, yeah, I fucking love making these videos, man. I mean, the
Yeah,
videos take a shitload of time. They take like 100 hours each
they're good, man. They're
sometimes.
good. I mean, I've seen them. They're good.
Yeah, but I'm just like, I just love making content. But yeah, thank you. They're not that
I
great,
mean, but that's
honestly.
how it
They're
starts, right?
like, looking back at it,
It
it's like,
starts out like that, right? It starts out with you loving to make videos,
yeah,
and
for sure.
then it grows into something. You start getting better at the research. You start looking at whether or not you were wrong or right about certain things, and then you go back, you reevaluate, and then you're like, okay, this can be changed, this can be made better, and then you move on to something new and better, and that's how you grow. That's how your channel grows. I mean, maybe not just YouTube, the podcast in general, just your abilities. This won't be for waste. Even if your YouTube channel, splutters into nothingness, the abilities you gained from that YouTube channel, the ability to market yourself to a wider audience, the ability to actually research a topic in depth, it's not something a lot of people have, and those are skills which are very valuable.
But the actual fun of making that video and the learning of that of making the video aside, it's sort of like the leverage that having content online gives you is fucking insane. Because I
Mm-hmm.
haven't uploaded on Destination 2100 in like 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
and like a video that I made almost 6 months ago, it has just been getting like 200, 300 views a month. And I have 7 videos. I have nothing. I mean, like, it's peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just giving free public speeches basically for me. This video that I
Yeah.
recorded 6 months ago. So the leverage that it gives you is incredible.
I mean, what stays on the internet never goes away.
Yeah,
That's just a
exactly.
fact. It's just,
Exactly.
once it's there, it's there. You can never ever take it down, or kind of hide it from anyone. I work in a company called Perfuse Software Solutions, where the company helps develop products which are part of the credit underwriting process that banks conduct to decide whether or not a person should be given a loan. So let's say that you, Roham, go to a company and say you want a car loan. Then the bank will ask you, okay, tell me your income, your annual income, monthly, whatever. Give me your past 3 months or past 6 months bank statements. So we know what kind of transactions you make on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And then they'll ask you for your income verification, whether you have a government state issued ID, or you have some sort of a driving license or something, right? And then they'll also ask for, okay, what kind of car do you want? How much do you want the loan for? How long can you afford to pay us back? Right? And what kind of interest rate can we decide on? All of those factors come together to say whether, okay, yes or no, we'll give you a loan for this amount, for this long, at this interest rate. So we receive those documents that you would give to the bank. We get them. We analyze them algorithmically, of course. Everything is automatic. We generate a report and we send it back. And this process is within a few seconds. So you go to a bank website, you apply for the loan, because everything is online these days, right?
Of course.
And even if you go to a bank branch, you tell the relationship manager, please apply a loan from my side. They apply for your loan. And since you gave them the documents, they go to our portal, or you go to our portal if you're applying for it directly, and we get the documents through an API call. And then we analyze them and send a report generated back to the relationship manager within a few seconds. Then they can say, okay, depending on these factors that the report tells us, whether or not this person's transactions seem legitimate, whether or not there's any fraud going on, because there are certain triggers for fraud as well, right? And the bank wants to actively look out for those. Is this person a fraudulent person? Did this person take a loan in the past you didn't pay back? Because that's also a big red flag. If you don't have the affordability or the intent to pay back a loan, the two biggest factors, by the way, you either intend to pay back a loan, and you also can afford to pay back a loan. If one of those two is not true, then you don't get the loan. And our products help come to those conclusions. We don't make the conclusion. That is still the bank's decision, of course. We just provide the reports which help in that decision.
What type of people are more likely to actually pay back their loans?
And that depends, right? What kind of loan and
In
what
terms of
type.
let's say we were talking before, sort of low to middle income household
Mhm,
that is trying to buy their first home versus someone who is a bit wealthier
mhm.
and is getting a loan to expand their business or something.
Right.
Who's a safer bet?
So,
Let's just say.
obviously the person who's wealthier, who has a formalized credit record, they are a lot more safer bet, because if I have a credit card, I have a list of transactions I make on a daily basis. I have gotten loans in the past and have paid them back in full on time. Then the bank will say, okay, this is a known entity. This is someone who we know will pay back the loan, or at least he is a 99% safe bet, compared to this person who is a low to medium income person. It's his first loan ever. We don't know anything about him. He doesn't have a credit card. He doesn't have a credit history. There is no, a credit score. He doesn't have any of those. So the loan to him, if given, will be of a significantly higher interest rate because the bank is taking a bigger risk.
Interesting, because I mean, I'm gonna give a shout out to Easy Home Finance. We were talking to their CEO. Their default rate is 0% right now. This might change due to COVID, but basically, all of their customers are low income households, and
Mhm.
they have. I mean, it's not small. Their book is getting quite large. Like they have over 6,000 customers now. Um, but yeah, again, this might change if the if all the income bringers of that household die because of COVID. But that's a clear path to defaulting. But otherwise, it seems like based on what they have done, maybe it's just their underwriting process. But
I think
th-
what is important to look at when companies present the loan amounts. Let's say, taking the example of Easy Home Finance, I'm not aware of what they have told you or anything. I'm just going off from giving random numbers. Let's say they say that we dispersed $60 million in loan,
Mhm.
which is quite a lot, of course. The first question that would come to my mind is how many of them paid back, and not only paid back, how many of them paid back on time, and how many of them came back for a second loan, because that is also an important factor. It's not just about a one time loan which was a good and done deal. You want to have retained customers. Obviously not a person won't take a loan every other day or every other month or every other quarter also, but at some point you want to have some sort of a customer retention rate which is just not 1 and 0, right? Because if in the future this person is a proven entity and they have successively given back loans which they took, their credit limit would increase. At first it was $100, then 200, then 300, then 400. Eventually we will keep giving this person bigger and bigger loans. So we will want to have such customers who are coming back. All of these numbers give a much better outlook on whether Easy Home Finance, for example, is doing a good job or not. And I think it's too early, from what you've told me, it's too early in their growth stage to figure out whether or not they're actually having good financials. I'm not doubting them. I'm just saying, instead of from what they are just telling you, also look a little bit deeper into what they're not telling you.
Well, the interesting thing that they have been saying is that the reason that these customers are a lot more loyal and a lot more strict about when they're paying, so they basically have no delays, except for special occasions, again, start of lockdown and everything,
Mhm,
is because this is the only shot they have in having a future, in having basically a credit score that is worthy of further loans, right? This is the first
mhm.
time they're buying a home. Culturally, it's very important for them, and so they try to keep the promise and pay back in time. Compared to someone who's a bit more middle class, their credit score is already higher. They already have their the footing. So now, obviously, they still don't want to default at any case, but seems like for their customer base, the fear of having a delayed payment is a lot bigger. Um, but yeah, let's move on to generally. what the fuck is happening in India, dude? Like, I mean, this episode is being
Yeah.
recorded on the 27th of April. It might go
Mhm.
on go up a bit later, but basically, what the fuck is happening? Like, how are you recording so many
No,
cases?
it's really bad. So from March 2020, when the whole thing began for the
Hmm.
world, up until around September, October, India had a lot of cases. Sure, I'm not denying that. I think they had like the third or second most cases in the world. But per capita, we still had things under control.
Exactly.
We had lockdowns, we had curfews, we had restrictions. People were following them to a large degree. People were following them. Of course, you always have that one group who's reactive, who doesn't want to follow the lockdown, my rights and everything. But in general, a large section of the populace was compliant in all the regulations which were put forward by the government. Then, starting in around December, January, people became a lot more complacent. You can attribute that to either the news of vaccines being released all over the world. India is producing its own vaccine, and we are also importing vaccines. So we had that going for us at to a certain degree. And yeah, people just got complacent. They stopped caring. And see, I don't blame people. I myself am part of the whole kind of I don't give a fuck fatigue about staying at home anymore. I want to go out, and I understand it. Who wants to stay home all day long for months on end? It drains the life out of you, literally.
Honestly, me too, man. I mean, I I spent majority of 2020 locked in the house, but now you know,
Yeah,
I
of
still hang
course.
out with friends. I go to restaurants. I'm at university all day. Uh, I'm basically at home just to sleep. I've gone back to normal except for the mask. But
Mhm.
I obviously understand that no one gives a shit anymore.
Yeah, but in India, at least that process, I think, of not giving a shit happened a little too early. I would say
Hmm.
give or take a couple months too early, because vaccine production and deployment hadn't actually ramped up to the point where we could say, okay, let them go out, it's fine, we have enough people vaccinated. Because see, at the end of the day, we have 1.3 billion people, and I think you and I were discussing this the other day. Even to achieve herd immunity, we would need hundreds of millions of people either vaccinated or gotten
Dead.
COVID.
Yeah.
But that brings its own kind of problems. Mutations, like you said, right? There can be too many mutations, too big a sample size.
And it's fucking
And
insane because we had the
it
first
is insane.
mutation like end of December, right? Early January, end
Mm-hmm.
of December, and
It was
now
UK.
yeah,
UK.
and now every country is having their own mutation. And it's
The UK, South Africa, I think one of them in the Indochina region, either Vietnam or something, I'm
Brazil
not
as well,
sure.
and one in
Yeah,
the U.S. in
yeah,
New
it's
York.
insane. I went to the UK in on 13th October, and a week later, so for 2 weeks I had to do quarantine, because if you did international travel at the time, there was a 2 week quarantine regardless. I did a 2 week quarantine, so that takes me from 13th to the end of October.
Hmm.
And on 1st November, the Prime Minister announces the lockdown. So I left India to escape the COVID kind of hotspot which is happening, to London, to kind of chill out a little bit, put my mind away from the job hunt, which was horrible at that point because it was in the middle of COVID. And I go to London, and then they get a horrible COVID strain, and I can't even go back to India because India banned flights from the UK. And in January, my mom and dad got infected with COVID. So
Jesus
it was
Christ.
just a bad time all around. It was just not good. And yeah, I mean, I think at least in my household, I'm not so sure about the rest of the even the city or the country, but at least in my household, because we have seen the first-hand effects. My dad was in the ICU for at least half a month, and since we know what it can do to a person, the actual damage it can cause, we are a lot more cautious and at times paranoid about even stepping a foot out of the house. So
Holy fucking
all
shit.
everything we have is delivered to our home. I got a haircut like a week ago, and there is a company called Urban Company which did send a person to my home for the haircut. So
That
yeah,
itself
services
seems a
like
bit
those are
risky, eh?
really. See, it is
And
risky, but
less risk, obviously, yeah.
I mean, you can only cut your hair for so long, and when you're in a job, you have to look professional. So you can't always have a bad haircut or something. Remember my beard and haircut in that person's class. What was his name? Martin's class. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
like a whole thing going, and I think I don't want to repeat that as fun as it was
No.
because
Look at my hair,
you
man. I've only cut my hair once, like in a barber shop since the pandemic started, and I mean I shaved it twice, but I haven't cut my hair I think since December now. Yeah, this is not great.
I got a crew cut in December, and
Yeah.
then my hair grew back, and I got it cut again a week ago. Yeah, and it's at least the situation in India is not good at all. The people in the government are predicting the third wave in September October. So from what it looks like, this situation might continue until the end of the year. So yeah, it's not good.
Well, it is a catastrophe that we have to get through. Hopefully it pass. So, you know, this podcast is sort of like about humanity, whatever. The main point behind that tagline is that well, I'm trying to figure life out
Hmm.
through conversations with people. And I
Hmm.
remember when I first met you, your sort of a big aim for you was financial stability.
Hmm.
That was something that your life your life plans were around basically.
Hmm.
Is this still the same after COVID? After what we've all as a civilization been through?
Yes. Uh, there actually, I would say COVID helped me realize that if I wasn't financially stable, it would have been a lot worse. I mean, take the example of the hundreds of millions of people who lost their jobs in COVID. People living from paycheck to paycheck, or even those people who had, some savings. They, in the end, had to ration. They had dwindling savings that they had to cut down, and it was a bad time. And if you were not financially stable, you were screwed in many
Yeah.
ways. And that just kind of put it in light for me that you can never foresee when such kind of shit is going to happen again. The world is in turmoil. It's been in turmoil for the past year. And yeah, we keep trucking forward. We're privileged enough that, we have not been horribly affected by it. But you never know in the future what's going to happen. And being financially stable beyond a certain point does help because then you can tide over such situations, be it for a few months, be it for a year. And yeah, see, I've always been a big proponent of financial stability, financial independence, because it's so easy for a person's personal finances to devolve. You make one expenditure there, you make another there, and at some point you don't care how much you're spending. And you have to save money. You have to set aside that rainy day money. Now, the best way to compound that rainy day money, there are lots of options out there. But the fact is that that discipline needs to be instilled in everyone. Because then, if you don't, the situation of paycheck to paycheck living arises. And it is unfortunate. I'm not saying that every person can afford to do it. But those who can should. And sometimes they don't.
But assuming that you're in a position where you can act, when this is an actually option where you can save, and how much is it of a which one do you prioritize more, your financial stability or doing a job that you're really, really, really happy with and you really, really love?
See, not everyone has the luxury of doing a job they really, really, really love. Putting food on the table, having a shelter above your head, that comes first, any day of the week. Once you can say, okay, I have food in front of me, I can eat 3 meals a day, I have a home to go at night to, I know I have a bed to sleep in. If you have a family, then you need to provide for them as well. Once you have those, then you can have the maneuverability to actually change your jobs to kind of affirm your life plans. So that kind of flexibility, see, there's always risk. There's always going to be risk no matter what. It's whether it's with money, whether it's with the job change. But certain things you plan for and certain things just happen anyways. No plan in the history of the world has ever gone 100% perfectly. And maybe there has been one, I don't know. But even building the fire was an accident. It wasn't a planned, thing, was it? but it resulted in the start of human civilization. I'm not asking, and it's just something very simple that when you budget your expenses for the month, maybe set aside 5 or 10% in some sort of a mutual fund or some sort of a savings fund. There are so many financial instruments out there, hundreds and hundreds of them. Put aside some. It's not going to cost you anything. Just do it. If you can, of course.
And then what happens, let's say, how old are you now?
23.
Okay, let's say, when do you think you will have this, safety line, this bottom line, basically, that allows you to safety net. There you go. That's the word for it. When do you
Yeah.
what's the goal for creating this safety net? Like, when, what age, basically? What do you think?
There's no specific monetary value I need to accumulate, or a specific age I am kind of goal posting myself, that okay, by the age of 30 everything in my life needs to be figured out, because no, shit does not happen that way, of course.
Mhm.
I think it's more along to do with checkpoints. If I have a family, if I'm by myself, as a bachelor, it would be a lot easier for me to save, because I'm in control of my own expenditures, so it's a lot easier for me to police myself.
Mhm.
And if I'm not able to police myself, then I know who to blame, me. But if I have a family, okay, not if, when, hopefully, when I have a family, I do not intend to, cut down on their lifestyle just so I can keep saving money. That's not the ideal here. But creating some sort of a benchmark, a baseline of lifestyle, and then being able to sustain that over 6 months or say a year, that would be a decent, let's say, checkpoint for saying, okay, now that I'm financially stable, if I were to quit my job today, I have enough savings to tide us over for the next 6 months or 1 year. Now I can, do a job in something I love or something. That's kind of that lifestyle. Being able to sustain it for an extended period of time without a job is the goal.
That's exactly sort of what I'm trying to get at. Is that, what does exploration, an explorative life look like for you? Like, in a lifestyle that you're really, really enjoying every moment of it. What does that look like for you?
I've been through that phase though. I mean, so I did my bachelor's in physics and mathematics, and since I was a kid, I was really into one thing. I want to go to space. I wanted to look at the planet from outer space. I wanted to be in a rocket. I wanted to peer through the window and see our big blue planet. The small blue dot out there. And it's still a dream of mine. But once I came to college, I wasn't under that umbrella of my parents' shelter anymore. Because when we come to college, we kind of get out, become more independent. We are hit with the real world and everything. We become a lot more pragmatic. Or at least in my case, I did. And I realized, while this is all well and good, having such aspirations, meeting them realistically is something very, very difficult. Because the path to being on that destination is something that will take lots and lots of years and would probably not even succeed even if I did everything right.
Hmm.
I would need to study. So I was studying physics then. The idea was to do a PhD, become part of some sort of a space organization. You have so many these days. You have one in the US, one in the one in India, ISRO. You have them in Europe, Japan, China, Russia, all over the place. Of course, you can only get into a space organization the one you're a citizen of. So for me, that would be India. But India isn't really doing any manned space missions, at least for a while now.
Well,
So
hopefully soon.
no, yeah, no, I'm not saying they won't, but nothing planned so far.
Yeah.
It's all unplanned missions, unmanned missions to Mars, Moon, and all those. So see, that's all well and good, but that is something that I didn't want to put an effort in because I wasn't sure I would get the reward. And at least when I was in college, I got into this mindset of if I'm doing something, be it let me put in the effort, let it take 6 months, 1 year, but I want to get the reward, and I want it to be something tangible. not something that I only have a hope of getting in the future, because that just kind of doesn't sit right with me. Like, if I'm take the example of Harvard Space, right? I worked on my ass off for a year. I double loaded the entire year. Doing fintech and data science wasn't easy, but I did it. And at the end, it wasn't the best, time to graduate, of course. But then I wasn't met with the best kind of reception either in terms of job offers. And
Of course, yeah.
our faculty also wasn't able to help as much as I was hoping they could. Maybe it was because of the COVID situation, maybe because I'm not a citizen, visa issues or whatever. I wouldn't put it on them because the situation was out of control. But I did put in the work for an entire year from day one all the way to the end. And when I didn't get that reward, when I didn't get, a job offer or something, I was just disappointed because I knew I did my best. And when you do your best and you still don't get it, that hurts. That hurts a lot. So that's why I realized I want to do something that's more tangible, that's more in the real world, and that also plays to my strengths. And that's why I made the switch to a career in the finances and also on the technological side. So I want to put one foot in both, both doors.
Would you say you're enjoying your current path?
Yes, I am excited, and not just because of what lies in the future, but because of what I do every day. I interact with people who make decisions that actually have an impact. And over time, I myself will have the ability to make decisions that will make an impact. And
Hmm.
that is something that I enjoy because at the end of the day, when all is said and done, no matter what you're doing, no matter who you are, you want to make an impact, right?
Of course.
And if at least for me, the impact I want to make, at least on my career path, is something I'm learning right now. And in a very short while, give me a year or maybe 2 years, I will have the ability to make that year. So I have something very tangible in front of me. I'm getting monetary compensation for it, for learning it, for doing it, for immersing in that environment. And yeah, I'm very lucky to do it. I'm very happy to be doing it. So yeah, it's good right now.
How much do you ponder your own mortality? I mean, clearly there's been a lot of death going around the world recently, not
Yeah,
necessarily that much more than, a typical year, but still a cause that is it's affecting everyone basically.
yeah.
But in general, how much do you ponder your own mortality?
It's uh, it's an interesting question because I used to always say, and I still do that. Triple digits. That's my benchmark. If I die after I hit triple digits, I don't care.
You mean monetary triple digits, or in terms of
No, no,
age? Oh, okay,
age.
okay.
Yeah, like 100 plus. And over time, it's evolved a little bit to more like when I'm on my deathbed, I shouldn't have any regrets. I shouldn't have to answer I shouldn't have to say yes to the question, do you regret doing this or do you regret not doing this? None of those questions should have the answer yes. That's the idea.
And what if, hopefully this won't happen, but what if you don't reach that point? What would you want to have done before your death at any given moment?
Travel the world for sure. Number one, I want to experience. I want my life to be a collection of experiences, of genuinely good experience. I'm not talking about photos or videos or whatever. No, I want to have experiences I can remember fondly upon. And I want my life to be a collection of those. That is what I want. Now, those experiences could be good, they could be bad. No life has only good
Of
experiences.
course.
That's fine. And I want good experiences, I want bad, I want them all. But I want them to be something which are memorable, which
Hmm.
I can, look back upon and say, oh, wow, that happened. And yeah, I still do it. I mean, I do it even today, and I'm very young. And I look back to my college days, and I'm like, oh wow, that happened. Seriously, I used to do that, or I did that, and yeah, I love that part of my life. And I want to keep going through that in the future. In the next 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years, I want to look back and I want to think, oh, wow, I used to do that, or I can't believe I went through that. And yeah, in the future, 2 years, 3 years from now, when I'm sitting at a bar with friends or I'm sitting at a restaurant having lunch or dinner, I look back on COVID and say, oh, wow, we sat in a house for a year and ordered everything and everything was done at home. Yeah, lots of people will do it. But yeah, that's how I want it to be.
I mean, touching on traveling, lots of people do it. I actually plan to do that. I want to like get a driver's license, get a car, and just drive through Europe.
But you're 19 now, right? Don't you already have one?
I'm too lazy. Too lazy. I'm working on it, but I'm quite lazy. Yeah, I haven't got.
Working as in you have the learner's license, the learner's driver's license.
No, I'm literally haven't done any of the official exams. I'm
Do you know
studying
how to
for
drive?
it. Yeah, I learned from my dad, but
Okay, so you know
like,
how to, you just haven't given the exam for it.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, exploration. I think this is for me is becoming more of a motto that I just want to explore life.
I think it
As you
happens
said,
to everyone,
experiences.
right? In different frontiers of your life. Sometimes you explore the world, you explore yourself, or there's always something out there to explore, whatever it is. And some part of everyone's journey is immersed with exploration. It just is. And that exploration can lead to something. It can lead to a discovery of yourself. It can lead to a discovery of, you know, maybe a good view, maybe a good collection of photos you look back on, with your friends or something. It's something, but there's always a discovery of something. And exploration is just a part of everyone's life, no matter what. You explore certain options and then you reach a decision and you say, okay, out of the next in the next year, like for me, I explored a bunch of options for what I will do after my bachelor's. I could apply for jobs in multiple locations. I could do a master's in multiple locations, and I had a bunch of options. I'm sure you also explored numerous options in choosing which bachelor's to do and what
Of course,
options
yeah.
to do. And you discovered so many things in that exploration, even not related to harbor space, just in general, how the world is at certain points, that research that happened.
I mean, hell, like over the past 6 months, I've probably not even 6 months, like 4 or 5 months, probably switched 6, 7 different career paths, potential career paths. So yeah, I just brush by them, see how it is, test the waters, and then switch to another thing. This is actually a struggle because obviously exploration is fun, but I also need to like be able to focus on one thing and stick with one thing, whether it's a startup or if it's a podcast or if it's a job. Actually stick with it for a few years, until I can get to a point where it doesn't need me anymore, and then I can exit. But I haven't been able to do that. That's one of the reasons. Like you asked, why did Candle fail? This
Why?
is one of the reasons.
Why would you want to exit? If you like doing it, why would you want to exit?
Okay, let's say right now it looks like. I mean, right now it's just me working with it. Potentially someone else will be working with it, working on this new startup. And I'm just gonna, I'm just literally building the landing page on Webflow. Gonna use Flutter for whatever front end app, that user facing app, or employee work facing app that would be. I'm just gonna make it on Flutter, and I'm just gonna launch. I'm just gonna go launch, try something, right? But as exciting as the problem that I'm working on right now is, at some point there are 10 other problems that I want to somehow address, including 2 that I want to address before I die, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And unless I have a sudden death, which is a different story. But so I don't think I would want to stick to one thing for more than a decade.
Now, the
At least,
decade is a long
at
time,
least for
right?
now.
To not just see in the scenario of solving a problem, a decade is maybe not enough. But it's
For the big
enough. It's
problems, is
enough
for
to
sure
put.
not enough.
Yeah, but it's enough to start putting the solution on the right path. I mean, let's say Elon Musk dies tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? No idea why. Something would happen. Nothing would happen. I don't know.
I mean, people die.
But he put the world on the path of electric cars on a much greater frontier than they were ever before. Before him, electric cars were just a novelty. Something that governments were looking at, which car manufacturers were looking at, but
Not
nothing
even most of them,
concrete.
not even looking at it, just not even
Yeah,
thinking about it. Honestly, yeah.
yeah. But since his arrival on the scene, and since he did what he did, with Tesla and with the whole battery innovation, it's not just a dream anymore. It's genuinely a reality. There's hundreds of thousands of Teslas all around the world now,
Over a
and
million actually.
over
They
a
hit a
million. So
million
there you
in
go.
2020. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's like thousands and thousands of more pre-orders out there because Tesla can never finish its backlog. And yeah, see, now even if Elon dies tomorrow, people have expectations. People have woken up to the fact that electric cars aren't just something impossible because the car manufacturers say they are. Oh, they're so inefficient. Oh, they were compared to oil cars. No, they are comparable, and in some cases even better than oil cars, diesel cars, petrol cars. So I wouldn't say that a decade is not enough, to start the solution and put it on the right path. But I don't think you should put some sort of a time limit on a solution because you never know when things will fit, right? Sometimes it's the wrong place, the wrong time, the wrong idea. You never know. But you only need one thing to make it just click. And once it falls into place, everything just starts chugging along its own way.
You see, you're totally right on that. It's just that, so for example, like you mentioned Elon. What did Elon do in his 20s? He basically, uh, built up resources, right? He made and then sold two companies with other people, and then suddenly in his 30s he had fuck you money. So with that fuck you money, he obviously he earned that money by solving great problems, right? And he's a lot of blood and sweat and tears, but eventually with that fuck you money, now he's doing these great things. So again, going back to why Kando failed, one of the reasons was like, okay, the project was too big, right? The project was too big for me to solve it. I didn't have the resources to solve it, and then I just couldn't focus on just that. So right now I'm trying to solve a small problem, then exit.
What problem?
Right now, what seems interesting to me is creating through insurance and insurance tech, creating a safety net for online creators like myself, a financial safety net. So basically, income insurance for online creators. I
Would you
have
say
no
you
fucking
have
idea how that
genuine
would work, but
motivation? Would you say you have genuine motivation to solve this issue because you yourself would benefit from it?
I mean, of course, I would. Like, it's always great to work on a product that you would be a user of, right?
But in comparison to
But
your previous ventures, where you might not necessarily have been a direct beneficent, would this be something a lot more, nuanced because you yourself know how you could actually benefit from it? Each and every kink of the armor would be known to you because you would be able to say and understand, okay, if I were to use this app, and I probably will because I'm also an online creator, I would require such and such things to make my life easy. And if
Mhm.
I require it, I'm sure other online creators, in other places do as well.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, honestly, there are two problems that I fell in love with when I was 16. uh, One of them was, Candu was my attempt to address that problem, and then the other one is something that will come later on. I've talked a lot about it on this podcast, but too much to talk about now. But this is the third problem, honestly. I feel like know my customers really well because I'm one of them, and I feel like I've been studying the market since I was 13. Not insurance, but the creator economy. So
Yeah.
I honestly, this sounds like an arrogant thing to say as a founder, but I feel like this is the proper problem founder fit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's. okay, number one, aren't all founders a little arrogant? I mean, they
You
need to
have
be,
to
right?
be. You have to be.
Yeah, they have
Yeah,
to have that overconfidence in the product because if they don't, who will?
exactly.
And that's number one. And number two, it's not just about the founder or product fit, right? I mean, that's one factor, but there's so many other things that need to fall in place. See, like you mentioned, the Kandu venture, you were able to start executing on your vision. You had meetings with people, you had some blueprints for the product itself, but it didn't fall into place because of certain other reasons. So it goes back to what I was saying. You need all the things to fall in place at the same time and at the right place. You need to have the right people with you. You need to have the right resources with you, the right vision, and the right idea to be able to execute it. So all of them need to fall in place at the same time. You want to solve insurance issues for online creators, sure, but are online creators ready for something like this? And I just don't mean ready in terms of the mindset, ready in terms of the financial obligations to such a contract, because there are certain payments to be made, right, on time, and if they
I
don't make the
mean,
payments,
the goal
then
is for it to
collections needs to
be
go after
as
them.
like the goal is to be as affordable as possible, and like basically cheaper than a Netflix subscription, and which is being done in this market, by the way, with our competitors. So the pricing is not. I'm not pulling that on my ass. The underwriters on competitors have actually given even cheaper prices. But anyway, like I don't think there should be any obligation. If you stop paying, you lose your insurance, right? Why would I send a muscly guy to your house to collect that 10 euros?
I mean, see, insurance by itself is a great concept. People coming together, pooling resources to kind of help the community or help people in trouble, in distress. And that idea is amazing. And it started in the ancient times, but it becomes a lot more complicated when you involve not just people in a community, but people in a large area like a country. You know, you you have people with different motivations for insurance, and there's always the concept of fraud, right? Does
Oh
the
yeah,
person who's
for sure.
claiming this money
Yeah.
really deserve it? Did he really fall in an accident, or is the plaster on his leg fake? Is the accident report fake? Did he pay off the police officer to get this insurance money? Is the house he's burning burnt by a robber, by an accidental gas leak, or did he burn it down himself to get the insurance money? In the end, all of these investigations need to be made, because you can't assume every online creator is as faithful or as morally up there as you are or your ideal customer would be. And yeah, in a world where there was no fraud, everyone would be happy and pigs would fly and hell would have winter season. But no, people are shitty. That's just how it is. And if one person cheats, then there is someone else out there who's losing because of it.
Of course.
I mean, insurance in that regard is somewhat of a zero sum game, because if we both are in insurance and you cheat, the insurance company will be that much more reluctant next time I make a claim, because they will be that much more investigative, they will be that much more paranoid in giving me the money. And so these factors need to be accounted for. One person being a piece of shit does impact everyone else.
Yeah,
It
that's
is just
true.
how it is.
Yeah, fraud prevention is going to be a huge, huge problem. The whole claims process is going to be the biggest. I mean, basically the only problem to solve. Like
Hey,
the
I
other
mean,
side is just
Porphyos,
selling it, right?
that's
But
where Porphyos can help.
that would
We
be
are entering the
incredible.
insurance market.
Yeah, that would be incredible. So, what are you guys doing? Automating the claims process, or
Yes, we would be so at first we would be helping digitize the files.
Mhm.
So a lot of insurance work, at least in India and in the Asians we operate in, which is the ASEAN region, a lot of the insurance is sold by direct selling agents or insurance affiliates. So you have your homemaker, you have the part timing job maker who needs a second income. These people go and sell insurance by word of mouth or through cold calls and whatnot.
Mhm.
So all the files are, pen and paper. At first, we would be using OCR software, optical character recognition, to be able to digitize the files. Then, once we have digitized the files, we'll be able to actually move the entire process of claims management online. So instead of having a person go through the files, word by word, document by document, we will have analyzed the document for them. We will know what parameters we need to focus on, what fields we need to populate. And once that report is ready, we deliver it to the person to say, okay, yes or no, depending on these triggers. We can say whether or not this person's claim is genuine or not. Now, we currently operate in the medical insurance kind of field. So we would be able to analyze medical documents. We would be able to analyze the associated documents which go along with those, such as the hospital reports or the injury reports, the claim amount information, the doctor's prescription, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll expand on those. But the idea is that instead of having 10 people working 20, 80 hours a week each trying to figure out these documents, we reduce the workload for up to, 5 people who have to work 40 hours a week to figure out whether or not they should say yes or no. So, yeah, see, insurance in many ways is a backward process. It's ancient, it's archaic, and it needs to be updated. And I'm not just talking about claims management. The entire process of trying to get reimbursements is so hectic.
Oh my god!
Did you know that even after my dad got discharged from the hospital, he couldn't leave the hospital because of
his
the insurance checks?
Oh my god!
Yeah. And that's not just a thing for my dad, it's a thing for anyone, regardless of income, unless you go for the cashless route. So there are two ways of insurance, how insurance works. One, there is the insurance network. So if you go to a hospital which has a known insurance affiliate and you have insurance with them, you go to them, you give them an insurance card and you say, okay, I have this insurance, I need this treatment. Please, call them and get it done. So I don't have to pay a single cent out of my pocket unless, the treatment is exorbitant and I need to, when my insurance doesn't cover all of it. But it gets managed in the scenes, behind the scenes. In the reimbursement case, which is the quite a big factor section of that, we get the treatment, we pay for it out of pocket, and then we go to the insurance company and say, okay, I have these reports, I have these claims, I want this much money from you. Please pay me back. And that is a hassle, not just for the customer, but for the insurance company as well. And see, there's only so low premiums can go. What is the difference in insurance company A and insurance company B? It's the customer service. How fast do they give me my money back? That's the end game, right? And we want to improve that process. And even you, if you want to enter the insurance market, you can't take weeks to figure out whether or not this person is committing fraud or not.
Of course, days. Because especially it's income insurance, right? Because if you take months or if you take weeks even, that guy's homeless. There's no.
But you also can't sacrifice due diligence.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is be very mindful of the fact that while what you're trying to do is something noble, at the end of the day, there is a lot of kind of nuances you need to factor in to be able to figure out, okay, this process will take this much time. And even if you were to shorten it, what would be the fallbacks of doing that?
Yeah. So, right now, obviously we're studying all digital, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything is digital from the sign-up process. There's zero paper involved in the entire process, right? The underwriting and the underwriting would be delegated, and the insurer would be someone else. We would just be basically the provider of this insurance policy. But actually, it's funny because how this idea started is me and this potential co-founder, we were gonna basically try and see if we can automate underwriting itself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even a thing? Is that even a possibility?
Yeah, we do that. That's literally what we do.
But to what extent?
Underwriting is assessing the risks of lending.
Yeah, just taking data and make an educated guess.
Yeah, it's not educated though, right? It's not a guess though. I mean, it is a decision, a proper factual decision, because the data you take in is what decides what decision you will make. And as the more data you have, the better decision you'll make.
But it's still a speculation, right?
Oh, okay. At the end of the day, nothing is 100%. You never know when this person will run away, or this person will lose his job, or this person will die. I mean, you can never predict that. But the process is automated, and a lot of it is already completely done by programs. You don't even know it, dude. At times, you were redirected to a different website, or not even redirected. Maybe it was done on the website you were already on. The information was sent to completely a third party. They analyzed it. They got whatever they wanted. They kept some for themselves. I'm sure of it. They sent they sent the rest back to the company you are dealing with, and the decision is made. Yes or no. It's that quick, and it's that efficient, and they have to be efficient, because at scale, that efficiency is the difference between loss and profit.
I see. Yeah, of course.
You don't want to be dealing with just tens or hundreds of customers, right? Your ideal is to be dealing with millions of customers in any given period.
Yeah, and also you don't want your whole you want to actually make a profit off of your premium that you get, right? So
Yeah,
it has to be as cheap as possible as well.
and it's not just about appeasing the stockholders anymore, or the big shareholders. You want to appease all the stakeholders, right? Not just the people who are investors in your company. You want to appease the people who are users. You want to appease the people who are employees in your company. You want to appease yourself, right? You don't want to be working 100 hours a week. You want to have the weekends off. So all of
Well,
that is a big part of. Okay, you don't have weekends off. Fuck you. but the average person would like to have their weekend off, or at least Sunday off, or something, right? And yeah, it's all part of the process of actually making sure that something works, and it works well enough that everyone involved in the process is having their lives made easier. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You look at Amazon, you look at Facebook, you look at any other company out there working online. They make our life convenient, and we don't give a shit if we are the product, if we are paying for through our souls for it. But our life become 1% more convenient, and that's all I care about. That's
yeah,
the
of course,
whole thing.
mostly. Yes. Almaz is taking a photo of me right now. In the middle of the podcast.
He's
too. Yeah. Today, actually, on the day of this recording, Apple released this new update for iOS and iPad OS that basically lets users choose how much data is collected. Right? How much do you give a shit about privacy?
Yeah. It depends. I don't want some,
because this is like now being called the biggest. Yeah, of course, but this is like being called the biggest move in protecting customer data. Obviously, I'm no fan of Facebook, and this is clearly directly targeted at Facebook. I only use WhatsApp because I have to.
What did Apple do? What is the update doing? Can you tell me that?
So basically, from what I've read, users now have the option to, on each individual app, basically, just like you allow or not allow notifications, you can allow data collection or not allow data collection.
What kind of data collection? Because there are lots of nuances in that, right?
I think they, just like cookies in the EU, they get to collect essential data where otherwise the app wouldn't be operational. Basically, just the cookies. But otherwise, like if a user doesn't want you to collect data that you would later sell to advertisers based on their usage, how much time they spent on each post and etc., you can stop that as a user.
How is that different from me opting out of personally suggestible ads and just being given random ads which don't pertain to my interests?
First of all, I'm not sure if every app has that. I know Facebook does, but it's kind of hard to find. But this is like,
Mhm.
it's on your phone, so you it's kind of like a third party guaranteeing that this is happening.
I mean, see, back to the question of how much I care about privacy. Like I said, I don't want someone peeking at me through my webcam, or someone, uh, you know, recording whatever keystrokes I make on my keyboard. But there's a limit, right? Like whenever I send an email, there is some sort of information Google is taking from that, and I can't stop using Gmail. There is Whenever I watch some sort of a movie or TV show on Netflix or Amazon Prime or any other such streaming website, some information is being collected from me. How long did I pause? How many continuous episodes did I watch? What series did I watch? All this data is being tracked about me. I think in today's day and age, unless you go completely off the grid, it is impossible for you to not at any point in your life have some data being recorded about you.
But is that even so bad? Like, honestly, the data that Google collects from me, maybe in the future it might be bad for me. We don't have, a time machine to go and see what later this will lead to. But for now, it's fucking helping me. Like, it's suggesting me ads that I actually care about most of the time. Or Amazon uses this data to provide better web services, provide faster delivery. Fuck Facebook. I don't want to talk about Facebook. But the other ones, at least they use this data to provide some value to the user who is producing this
Yeah,
data.
I don't think the people who are opponents of data collection. And number one, a lot of it has to do with the fact that companies track and collect a lot more than they let on, which is number one. And the second one is that it's also about control. How much control do you have in your own life? How much influence are you being subjected to by these companies unknowingly? That this this is genuinely just materialism. How much are you being subjected? How much mind conditioning are you going through to like something you originally wouldn't have given a shit about? That is where it all plays into. Because yes, Google isn't doing anything drastic to your life in terms of data collection. But when they sell that information to someone who wants to know exactly how they can coerce you into buying their product, that is a drastic measure, isn't it? They're making sure they can take your hard-earned cash and make you buy something you not might not genuinely have a need for. If you do, great. But in most probabilistic causes, you probably don't. You
Hmm.
don't need to have some sort of a gadget A or gadget B helping you in your life. You were chugging along fine without it. You can chug along fine in the future without it. I think that is the issue that most people have with such data collection.
So, but in general, your sense is that this is a it's improving basically our lives. So what's next for you in that regard?
I don't know. I mean, right now I'm focusing on my job. Of course, I want to kick ass on it, and I want to see. Like I said, I want to explore the world, and I want to have different experiences. And what I'm hoping for is some sort of a combination of my job and me being able to go to other places. If
Hmm.
that could somehow, is something I could work towards, that would be amazing. Because uh, considering that I work in an industry which is so fluid and so adaptable to change, it might not be just a far-fetched dream for me to imagine me going and living somewhere else. And I have experience. I've lived in the US for 4 years. I lived in Spain for a year. um, I would like to stay in other places as well. Just being able to experience other cultures, other food. I want to know the world essentially, and if I can mix my job with that, that would be great. Now that's the thing I'm looking forward towards.
So you kind of want to be a digital nomad? Is that that's what the kids call it these
I mean,
days?
I'm not sure exactly. I've heard the phrase a digital nomad numerous times. I'm not sure what it means exactly, but I just, how do I say this? I want to be able to propel my career to such a height where I can make decisions about it.
Hmm.
Uh, this goes all the way back to what you said, right, about financial stability and choosing what you want to do, what you love to do. And I already kind of do what I like to do. I have fun doing it. But right now, I don't have the decision making power. So I am under the control of people who have more experience than me, or people who know better than me. Because of course they do. They've been in this game a lot longer than I have, and I am learning from them. I am understanding from them, and not it's not going to happen in a year or 2 years, but in the next 5 to 8 years, I want to be able to have that ability to make those decisions. And I was told something very very useful, sort of a life lesson recently. It's about developing a set of skills which make you irreplaceable.
Hmm.
A set of
Fuck you
skills which
skills, basically.
skills which can't be trained to be given to someone else. If you, Roham, develop a set of skills which your manager can't, train someone else in, you instantly become irreplaceable. The company will pay fuck you money to you to make sure you don't go to the competitor and to make sure you keep working for them happily. And my goal would be to be able to develop those, like you said, fuck you skills, to be able to be in command of my own kind of life. Of course, I'm not saying I'd be an asshole and just give me this much money or I'm leaving. I'm not saying I'll do that.
I mean,
But
if you have
it's just,
enough leverage, basically, you can do that. But
it's about
yeah.
obtaining leverage to be able to make certain decisions, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to live in certain state X or country X, you can say, hey, I would be more beneficial if I was in country Y. And instead of the manager saying no, go away, they might have to take a pause and say, okay, why do you say so? That's what I'm aiming for. Does that make sense? Kind of. I know it was a long-winded road of what I said.
No, yeah, totally makes sense. Actually, yeah. That skill thing is actually something that is annoying me about, my own life. I mean, now I'm, slowly getting into programming, which is, I mean, it's unbelievable what we can do with just a little knowledge of programming. And I'm having this podcast, trying to at the same time build some influence and build some network and talk to interesting people. All of these, I'm trying to develop my own skills that I didn't have a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
But it's a good fucking direction to go to, man. It's like be having enough leverage to be irreplaceable.
To be able to see, number one, you're way too fucking young to worry about I don't have such set of skills. I need to develop them in the span of a few months or a few years. No, and it's not just about being young. No one's ever too young or too old to them. People who are at the age of 50 or 60 are also learning new skills all the time. I know such people who actively make sure they stay up to date on certain skills. Otherwise, their job will be made redundant. They will be replaced by someone younger who will work for way cheaper.
I mean, hell, look at fucking Warren Buffett. He is,
man,
how old is he now? 95, 96, and he's still one of the greatest investors of all time.
See, I recommend the book Outliers to kind of.
I've been recommended that book so many times, and I haven't read it because I feel like
read it.
It's kind of like
instead of idealizing people, you will start to idealize circumstances, and you will understand why. You will want to create the right circumstances for yourself instead of trying to emulate some random person who you don't even know, just the public image. And I think that's the only direction.
The fabricated story of the aftermath, basically.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, right? Can you control you can control what skills you choose to learn. You can control what circumstances you choose to be in. But you can't control the rest of the world. So why try? Right? I mean, you can't control when someone else will say yes or no to you. But you can control yourself, and you can control what you know, how much you know, and what leverage you have in any given situation. You control all of that. So why not utilize that? And instead of trying to emulate, to be the next Elon Musk, because there's no need to. He is not the perfect person. Everyone knows that. He has his own shitload of trouble. Try to be the next. Try to be the first Roham Hosseini. I mean, what's wrong with that? Be the next leader of
Exactly.
agriculture innovation, and be known as a problem solver. If 10 years from now people know you as the guy who they go to solve problems, is that the worst thing? No, that's who you want to be known as, right? You don't want to be tied down by one problem. And I think that just in general is something that is, that's what consultants are. They're problem solvers. You go to them, hey, I want this problem fixed. And consultants are very specific masters of only one or two things. But they do it so well that people go to fuck ton of people go to them to say, hey, I know you're this good. Can you solve this problem of mine? Right? That is something not to scoff at. Those are
Yeah, I mean,
a set
even
of
like
skills and experiences.
I mean, you just like you mentioned, why do you want to be, the next Elon Musk? I mean, not literally, because no one can be Elon Musk and solve the same problems, but it's, as you said, it's the image of the guy who solves problems. That's something that I feel like inspires a lot of people in society and motivates a lot of people in society. But I will check out this book. I will check out this book, Outliers, for sure.
But see, once you read it, you'll realize that it's not just him who molded the world to his image. No, it was Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, all of them, every single one of them. Anyone who you think is, amazing, has touched the stars of success.
I mean, not just success, it's just that anyone who has had any amount of impact with their solution, basically, to some problem, right?
Right, but
like we don't think about most of it.
Thousands of stars had to align for them to be able to reach that success, and not someone else who was standing 2 meters away from them behind a glass.
That's true.
And like I said, you can't control everything, but you can choose to do one extra course every day, one extra video, watch one education video every day. You can choose to, invest $10 more every day, or $100 every month. You can choose to do that. You can also choose to spend it all and just have a lavish life. I'm not saying one thing is wrong and the other thing is right. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is it's about you making sure that it's the right decision for you. And at least in your case, you're way too young to be worrying about what's right and what's wrong. I mean, I think I've read this somewhere that people's brains develop at the age of 25. So you're not really even fully grown until the age of 25. No, I'm not. You are not. No one is. So why bother giving a fuck about anything? Enjoy life, dude. You're fucking 19. When I was 19, I didn't give a shit about how my life will be 20 years from now, how I will solve the world's problems. No, I just wanted to pass my classes, have fun, and go to parties. And yeah, I was programming on the side. Yes, I was doing stuff which would actually be productive, but I wasn't sacrificing them for my fun, because you're a fucking college student. You're a college student. Why not have fun? Why do you have to put aside your life to save the world? Who's asking you for that?
Oh shit.
I think the video stuck, man.
Yeah, you got cut out again when you said I was also programming, but I was partying as well, and that part.
Yeah, no. Funny story. So this friend of mine, Jason, and I, we were sitting on a very kind of locally famous party day, and we were figuring out a way to automate the ordering of food from a local restaurant. And so we would just start this program, and the program would then go to the website, order the food, pay the bill on the website, and then we would have to do nothing at all, and we were coding it up. And this was an amazing kind of local party time, and we were sitting in our at homes coding. And this other friend called us and said, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you sitting at home coding, dude? Come party with us. What's wrong with you?" And that made me realize, I mean, I can program all day long. I won't be as good as some of the best programmers on earth. I won't be, missing out on a lot if I party one night of the week, of the month or whatever. So why not have fun? I'm not losing everything in my life by partying one night. And
I'm for sure not against having fun. I have a fair share of fun. Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is
I get what you mean. Yeah.
The tendency to become a workaholic or to become addicted to anything, be it work or be it whatever. I'm not saying you party every night and say, "Oh yeah, it's fine, and be productive the rest of the day." No, that's also stupid. Moderation is extremely important. But I've seen, the kind of dedication you can give, and while good, there are other parts of your life as well that you shouldn't ignore. And I am realizing this
including
more and more,
relationships.
Be it relationships, be it work-life balance, be it whatever. You need to make sure that you prioritize parts of your life that are not work. Because at the end of the day, see, this goes back again to that question: when you're on your deathbed, what will you regret not doing? And if someone asks you, do you regret working all your life and not having enough fun? The answer to that better not be yes. It should be no. Like, I did not work enough. I had fun and I worked, and it was a good life. And see, I think this journey you are, right? You're trying to force this journey of trying to find yourself or, discover who you are. It won't happen on, this one conversation which will spark everything for you. Or it might. Thing is, it might also happen while you're sitting in a restaurant ordering some food and waiting for it, and you look at the glass and you say, "Oh, wow, this glass reminds me of something."
Which is most of the time, actually. In most cases, that's how it happens. Just on a normal walk to on your daily commute.
Subconscious thoughts kind of reveal themselves in the most mundane of ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and no one ever forced innovation or forced kind of that eureka moment, right? So don't try to force it that much. You're having fun doing podcasts. Have fun. You're having fun, doing videos. Have fun with it. That's all. Don't try to kind of make it part of a grand vision of so the way you introduced yourself at the start of this podcast, I'm having these conversations to discover myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but also have fun with it. Just do it for the sake of this. Sometimes do it for the sake of doing it, right? Do it with some random person who you've only met once, because you might never know what he or she has to say, right? I mean, be as open as you want, be as close as you want. For all I care, right? Would it really matter to you? You are only 19. In 10 years, you'll be a different person.
Shit, you cut out again.
Probably unrecognizable in every way but looks. I mean,